Hi, this video is about the SEO plugins on ChatGPT. What are they? How good are they? And I've already run them through quite a few tests, and I'm gonna show you the results of those tests along with my recommendation for what I think is the best plugin and what you can use that plugin or the other plugins for to actually help you rank your website better in Google. To be clear, for my experience, I have been doing SEO full-time for my own agency for over 10 years now, so this is right up my alley. I will say that I'm coming into this highly questioning the value of these plugins. Typically the plugins like the SEO plugins for WordPress or the SEO reports that you get on most sites are leave a lot to be desired. I think most of the time they're not very helpful in most circumstances. There's just a lot of things left out, and there's so much context to what should be done from an SEO standpoint, what's correct to be done, and not just what's correct to be done, what's important, because there's a lot of stuff with SEO that is just sort of like, yeah, technically it helps, but it's like throwing a bucket of water in the ocean. There's other things that are more important that you should be doing first. And so a lot of the recommendations I see are kind of beside the point most of the time with SEO plugins. But let's jump right in. Let's see how these work out. For each plugin, I asked it first what it could do, and you get an interesting response here depending on which one. It does seem like this is sort of like kind of restating this, but with a different use case, and a lot of them don't exactly follow what they say they do. So also, again, just real quick, I wouldn't set the expectation that any plugin, any single SEO tool is going to just like skyrocket you. So that's not the basis for which I'm going to judge these plugins and give you my recommendation. But it is something where sometimes they can identify smaller opportunities or mistakes, like if you've told Googlebot to not crawl your website, sometimes like a report can find that, and that'd be a pretty substantial change. Okay, so I'm having it analyze my website for something I do rank pretty well for, which is interesting because it says like semantic content optimization. All it's doing when I asked it to analyze it is it's rewriting an article. Meta keywords are kind of pointless. The title is much more important, far more important. So here's an example of like not identifying what's important. The title is a million times more important than the meta description. Meta description can kind of matter. It has more to do with click-through rate, but the title of a page has a huge effect on what something ranks for. It is interesting that it interpreted analyze as rewrite the article. Maybe that's just what it's limited to. And then what I did was I searched by CBD gummies, and I picked a few of the sites that are on the first page, and I'm going to do this for all of the plugins. So let's see what it came up with. Again, it rewrites an article. It's not exactly what I wanted it to do. And again, with the article rewriting, I'm just going to scan down because it just keeps doing that. And then in a second, for each one I asked, please write an article about by CBD gummies, because a lot of these are touting themselves as good article writers. So, how good is this article? First of all, number one, I put this and all of them through originality.ai, which does AI. Is it AI content, and does it have a plagiarism score? All of them came out with 100% AI and something between 10 and 25% plagiarized. Small amounts of plagiarism is actually fine. There's certain things that are just going to be repeated, especially if there's like scientific specs or CBD or cannabidiol. I don't even know how to say that. Just some simple facts. So, facts that are going to be repeated, just that makes sense. There's a certain amount of that. 25% is pretty high, though. So let's actually look at, this is like a semantic analysis tool. It gives it an 11 out of 100. So that's not very good. Let's see how some of the other ones do. Overall, Not really impressed. This is the only plugin that actually required me to create a free account at SEO app. The other ones did not. So I assume that I'll be getting marketed to. It's not the end of the world. Curious what they'll do, but it's the only one where you actually have to sign up. So just FYI. A quick summary of this one. I'm not really super impressed, but I have a pretty high standard for that. Okay, so this one is the SEO plugin. It's actually just called SEO. What can it do? I like this a bit better. I mentioned before, if your robots.txt is blocking Google, that's a major issue. So for someone who's not technical, this could be an interesting use if your rankings just like you got a web designer to change things and the rankings just fell off a cliff, or then sometimes what they'll do is temporarily they'll move it to robots don't crawl to kind of hide it while they're changing it, and then sometimes they forget to put it back, or it can just sometimes there's certain things that will actually make that happen depending on what you're doing with your website. So it's something to check. Response code, load time, tags. So the H1 tag and the H tags H1 through 3 do matter, and so this is kind of useful to give a little bit of extra actual analysis, unlike the other one that didn't really give analysis. Image file names and text. So let's put in the same prompts. Please analyze this. It gives sort of vague responses here, and this is a common theme among this report and among the other plugins, and then also just in general among SEO reports. It kind of gives a bit vague. I like that it has specifics here. This is actually somewhat useful to know and understand. It's unclear how they're coming up with this is a good use for header tags in SEO. Also, it's unclear how they're defining that this is well optimized. Image, files, and alt text. Looks like I'm using that. So this is weird. So the website has a good number of internal and external links. Are they actually like pulling external link data? That's kind of interesting. Keyword occurrences. So here's where part of the issues come with SEO, like that you just need a lot of context. You need to build a lot of data points in order to really understand what should be done with SEO. So giving these kind of recommendations, the keyword appears 33 times within the body. Is that good or bad? I don't know. So that's going to be a little bit difficult. Okay, sort of the similar things. I like that they kind of isolated out the tags here into specific places. A good number of outbound links. I think if there's a few in here where it doesn't give outbound links. So this is better than the SEO app for sure. And I didn't have to sign up for free. I like this a little bit more, even though it's actually doing what I'm asking more closely instead of just rewriting the article. This is definitely better. Let's take a look at this, and you can pause the screen. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So here we go. There are many images, but none of them alt text. So that might be something to be like, oh, shoot, we didn't put alt text. Not a big deal. It's better to have it than not have it. But like changing, like these people changing their alt text to, adding alt text isn't going to make them go from, page 3 to top of page 1 or anywhere like that. It might not have any effect on their rankings at all. So it's not like a huge deal. And this is, again, part of the problem with a lot of the SEO tools out there. It doesn't really like weight things in terms of what's important. But also, there's like this misunderstanding of SEO as like a pie chart. In reality, it's more like a series of decisions and forks in the road. And so it's like checking. Am I going to crawl it with robots? Can I crawl it with robots.txt? If you can't, then nothing else matters. Right, but most of the time you can, and so it doesn't really matter. And then there's other things that it's going to check as well. So just like, oh, you add more alt text, you'll rank better. Maybe, probably not. Again, something very similar. I'll just pause here for just a second in case you want to read these. But overall, not great. So it is acknowledging that within the acceptable range, load time is similar to it's a threshold measurement where going from 2.3 to 1.5 seconds isn't going to give you a lot of rankings. improvements. But if your site is slow enough to where people start bouncing, or it just takes 10 seconds to load, there's a threshold where it's like, yeah, this will actually hurt you. But overall, it's not really like a key metric for the most part, unless it's really bad. All right, so we had it write an article. I'm actually going to copy this. Let's take the title. And there's something I forgot to do on the SEO app. So you need to add the H tags. So it took it from 11 to 30. So we'll actually do, I'm going to make a note here, 11 to 30. All right, so what we need to do is we need to do H1. Okay, let's see. Actually, before I did the H1. Oh, that's interesting. It's 20. So make a note. 20. Interesting to adding that. Turned it down to 9. Oh, went back up to 20. Understanding. It looks like this is maybe an H3. Or we'll just leave it as an H2. And then we'll go here and we'll make another H2. And I think on the other one I edited it. Buy CBD gummies conclusion. Maybe we'll make this like buying. I'm trying not to look over to the right just to see if like, hey, if we actually like marked it up as it should be marked up. You know, I wonder if I did, if I bolded and underlined this, if that would change things, because that sometimes that does help. It'd probably be better if I did, so it's not changing the score again. And keep in mind that this score I'm up here putting up here is definitely not perfect, but it can give you some insights. Let's see if I do an H3, because it's probably wanting some H3s. Well, maybe not. Okay, so 28. Not great. All right, we'll move on to the next one. This one's called SEO Assistant. What can you do? Keyword suggestions. Let's see what it does. This one was a weird one. It's not really doing what it says it's going to do. And first of all, it every single time I think it says, you know, it's giving me this caveat, which I think shouldn't. The other ones didn't. Additionally, it's just suggesting keywords that I put in, which is not exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for an analysis, which it says it can do. Show me the SEO metrics. Why are you not showing me SEO metrics? Show me the keyword analysis. I guess it's just defaulting to keyword suggestions unless I specifically request that. A little bit of a knock on that. Maybe it would work if I specifically requested it, and it did the same thing here. This one also, to note, like this is a competitor. This is a competitor. This is like an actual, it's a conference that happened in 2022 in Dallas. I went to it. A Dallas season 9 review. Okay, clearly not accurate. It's kind of weird. A little bit weird that it goes into different countries. Kind of feels random. But again, this is not really very helpful to me. I mean, it could be useful, but really like tools like this and like Surfer are going to make those recommendations, and it's going to be a little bit more useful. So let's take its article. Let's see what we can do with it. I like that it's bolding things. All right, delete. And we'll do H1 to CBD gummy buying. Let's just do that. Oh wait, what was it without H1? 18. So it starts off at 18. Let's see when we mark it up a little bit. We'll do H2, H2, H2. I like that there's more sections here. Buying CBD gummies conclusion. So H2. So it's at 25. Let's see if we did. So for some reason this one doesn't really like H3s, even though H3s, you should have H3s. Basically how it works, H1 is supposed to kind of classify and tell Google what the whole page is about, and then the H2 tells it what the section is about. And then if you have H3s under an H2, it kind of tells it what's relevant to the H2. So 25 was the max, so it went from 18 to 25. Still not that good, but perhaps a starting point. It does look like buy CBD gummies is in there a little bit too much. Buy CBD. We could probably remove some of these and get a better one, but I'm trying to do it as raw as possible without ignoring the fact that, yeah, you need H tags, and it's obviously not going to paste over the H tags. I like that it pasted over the bold, because bolding things does help. Okay, let's go over to SEO Core AI. What can you do? Oh, this is interesting. I haven't seen this one yet. Actually, let's do, I'm going to do it just to see what it does. Please do a competition analysis for the keyword buy CBD gummies. Let's just see what it does. All right. So we did doing Dallas SEO. It does do response time. It is the URL. The URL, like URL and title for a single page are the two biggest factors by like a lot. It's like if you just did this right and you did nothing else wrong, that's better than doing everything else right and doing this wrong. I like in this one how it is actually pulling in the actual title tag and the actual H1 tag. It's telling me this is correctly set up. I like that it's checking that. That's a useful thing to check. Okay. Maybe this is correct. Again, to be clear, this site ranks really, really well for Dallas SEO. So it's one of those things where sometimes a tool will give you a really low rating for something that ranks really well. Okay, so far, this one is pretty decent. Interesting, it gave a very different format when analyzing this. On-page analysis, title, meta description, headers. This is actually a good recommendation. This is not actually present in any of your headers. That's something that definitely you'd want to do. I also like this recommendation as well. It's not required. It's not as important as the H tags, and maybe there is like an alternative, like a close variation. Okay. I'm curious where they're getting this data. This is the first one that actually did off-page and backlink analysis to some degree. Although I don't think this is helpful at all. The value of a link is can be candle and sun difference. It can actually be negative, it can be negligible, or it can be extremely helpful, and anywhere in between. And so just saying how many backlinks you have is not very useful. Although just noting how many you have can, specifically this number is the more important number. And to this page, this is a lot of backlinks to a specific page. But this is also a really popular site, Healthline. So it's possible that has a huge effect on it just naturally gets a lot of links. Interesting, they mark this as 5 because actually this one was number 1 when I did the search. Let's just try it. Buy CBD. Now I'm going to get sold a bunch of CBD gummies. Healthline is number 1 for me. Interesting that they would say that. But credit to them for displaying it at all. And where you rank can vary from hour to hour, moment to moment, location to geolocation. Like it can be in New York, it might rank different than in Texas. Yeah, these recommendations are a little bit ho-hum. It's weird. Now it goes back to the format that it did on the first one, or it's actually kind of more of a mixed format. Like this one, it just did all in one section. This one didn't have this bolded out. The inconsistency is curious, and generally, I would say it's probably not a good thing that it's inconsistent. But I'm really liking these recommendations. Let me restate that in a more accurate way. So many other recommendations are just complete shit and worthless. This one right here is actually a really good one. So it actually pulls in one of their H2 tags which has nothing to do with anything. And so this one is a little bit closer, right? So this one isn't nearly as bad. Just to point out, like, hey, yeah, actually, you should be putting this in your H2 tags. Okay, so sitemap, I guess. I don't know why they have this under off page. To me, that would be on page. Additionally, robots.txt is on page. You know, it's giving recommendations, but it's already ranking #1. So why would you change it if you're ranking #1 for this keyword? So it's kind of weird, these recommendations. But the fact that they have a recommendations section is pretty good. Okay. So again, this is one of the best ones in terms of actually adding in the context that might matter of, like, here is your H2 tag, it's missing this, as opposed to some of the other ones that were just like, add more keywords to your H tags. Like, that's not nearly as helpful, I would think. So it's going to here. All right, let's just move on. It's very similar. Okay, let's take this article and we're gonna put it into here. And then we'll circle back around to okay, so it starts at 20. No, it starts at 9. Okay, and then as soon as you add the H1, H2, H2, H2. We'll just leave that. 28. Seem to be all kind of arriving at a similar place with regards to the articles. All right, let's go back and look at. It's interesting that they got that first. Now they're saying it's 2 when before they said it was 5. I wonder if they're pulling from, like, the Orange County area. Okay, that's not a competition analysis. It's just listing the top URLs that rank, which you can just go to Google and see this exact information. So, yeah, good idea if they actually did it. If they actually talked about, like, the properties of these pages and these websites, that might actually be useful. All right, I'm gonna try to. We're already at 22 minutes. I'm gonna try to go a little bit faster here. Brainwork, which at least has a unique name. Give it credit for that. Give him some points for that. Okay, I like this content brief. So let's actually ask it for this. This is actually a good idea. Please give me a content brief on the keyword buy CBD gummies. This is a better way to write an article. Typically, you start with a content brief to outline things, and then you could use like an AI writer to write those sections of the article kind of one at a time. That's often a better way to create a longer article. But let's jump in. Let's see what happens. Okay. So here we're back to pretty broad recommendations and not exactly non-contextual. So of course there's no URL slug because it's the home page. It is good to have internal links, but there's a whole lot more to internal linking than just do you have them or you do not. Although I think there's a few pages on here that don't have any, so that would be, something to look for. I'm not sure duplicate meta tags. I'm not sure exactly what they're referring to. It would be nice for them to be like, here, it's this tag and this tag. Maybe there's like an H tag and something else, an alt tag that is exactly the same. I don't know. Okay. I don't really like this format and just the stuff that they're working on. Like, every analysis tool should start with a title and URL and then move on to H tags. Like, that's that's in that order. Although H1, some people think that it's just as important as like the title and URL, and I think that that's reasonable to suggest. I think it's slightly less important. Although again, it depends on the specific context of the situation. I'm not really liking the format of the reporting, and just like it just seems super broad. And they're telling me like, oh, you have an issue, and then it's not really telling me how to find that issue in some cases. Okay, keyword in slug. The slug is the last part of the URL after the last slash. So CBD edibles gummies would be the slug. I haven't heard this one before, actually, although I'm sure that it's been out there for a long time. I don't think this is that important. Google does like mixed content. It would be pretty low on my importance list. I think there's one that it says doesn't have outbound links. We'll find that one. Low content rate. Oh, I guess it's measuring how often things are published. See. The website does not have outbound links. Let's check this out. Does it actually? Yeah, maybe that's correct. Like, it's not actually linking to other sources. Technically, you lose link juice when you link out, even if it's no follow. But that is still not how Google wants you to be. I think they want you to share the love to some degree, and in general, even though you can maybe leak link juice, I think it's better overall to link out to relevant sources if you can. So this is actually not a bad recommendation. It has internal links. Okay. Well, how good are those internal links? There's just a lot here that's like not that important. All right, so let's take its article. I'm kind of curious about this content brief. Not really that great, in my opinion. Probably better sources for it. So it starts off at 8. Let's see if we add the necessary stuff. Buy CBD. I'm trying to do the same thing I do with the other one. They all kind of started off with introduction. Okay, let's go through. I could do H3s here. It doesn't seem to care about H3s. We'll do on buying. All right. I wonder if I did H3 here. So 27 is where it's at. Yeah, it's not really caring about this right here. It does seem common that they're using this too much. So maybe what we would need to do is reduce. Looks like it's saying only use it once within the content. That might increase the score, but that seems to be a common thing. So 27. Okay, now on to the Speedy Marketing plugin. It seems to be just for blog post creation. So it's more about creating content. So when I ask it to do the analysis as I did the other ones, it actually writes a relevant blog post, which is interesting. I'm kind of curious if I copy and paste. I guess what you could do with this is you could create a blog post and link this back to the page that you have. It also already tagged this up, so that's kind of nice. Oh, it's 0 because it's for a different keyword. So we'll move on to this one. For ranking for buy CBD gummies. This is a terrible article. It has nothing to do with it. All right, let's see what happens here. 28 right out of the gate. So it also did not overdo this. That's actually pretty nice, maybe from a blog posting standpoint. You know, I would want to expand on these. This would probably be a good starting point. Maybe what you could do is you could find the top ranking articles, put them in, and ask it to write a short article on this, and then just drop that in here. I bet that would really improve what's going on here. But it's good that it didn't overdo it. It doesn't have the red, so that's good. We'll take another one. We'll see how consistent it is. 27 right out of the gate. It does seem to have a little bit too much. And that's all I got for it. Oh, this was actually the just straight up right one. I think I only did a few because I noticed how it was working. All right, let's move on. Website performance. All right, so what it can do. Performance, accessibility, best practices. So this one seems to be centered more around site speed, which is important, but it's until it isn't. So again, like the difference between and it's not this simple. It's not just how fast does your site load, because there's different parts of your site, which is why they have like largest contentful paint, first contentful paint. These are different times, but let's just take the one number and say that, going from 1 second load time to 0.7 seconds load time is not really that crazy. It's not really going to help you. And so this is more like a report that you'd get from like GT Metrics or something. And it's possible that it's actually pulling directly from it. Let's see if I click on this, what happens. Oh, it's Lighthouse, Google Chrome's Lighthouse. That's where it's pulling directly from. So you could just put this into Google Lighthouse, and that might be a better way to do it. Although if you mix the plugins together, there's maybe some potential here for something. Again, it's giving more of the kind of more technical how to make your site fast, which is not really what most of the time it's not a consideration. That's the way I would put it. And I actually did write an article, even though it doesn't look like it's supposed to. So let's try it out. So it starts off as 10. Let's see. And it gets up to 29. And again, it overdid the buy CBD. Okay, so now I'm going to give what I think was the best one. And then I'm also going to give an alternative to doing what it seems like one of the things that a lot of people want to do, which is article writing. And we're going to see how that turns out. Some of these were pretty bad. I didn't really like the SEO.app plugin. I didn't like the SEO assistant. I didn't like Brainwork was. I didn't really like Brainwork actually. Again, it's just kind of too broad. Speedy Marketing doesn't do a whole lot of different things. It just does one thing, which is sort of like blog writing, and it didn't appear to do it. It did it slightly better than the other ones in that it included the H tags in it, which is not like a crazy awesome thing. And then the website performance one is more targeted towards like website speed. So the one I liked the most was, I'll give a first and a second place. The SEO Core one, I think was the best, even though none of these were perfect. And I'd be curious to see if with some different prompts you could get some better results. I liked the specifics in here. I think it's more useful to just put in a URL and actually get some real recommendations that you can get out of it. Pretty much all of them, when you added the H tags, got the score of between 25 and 30. I like this one the most. It also commented on backlinks. It did the robots.txt, which again I mentioned could be an issue. Usually it's not. The second place one I would say would be the SEO plugin, because again this is another one that gave kind of more specific recommendations. Like it's giving actual numbers. It's counting up the H tags. That's actually pretty helpful because you want a lot of H tags. And so if you see small numbers here and you have a long article, then it's like, oh, we need more. It also mentions how many times the keyword is in there on the count. I like that as well. But keep in mind that they all had a little bit of copied content, and they all showed up under originality.ai as 100% AI. So what we're actually going to do, so from my web scraping, the best plugin was, for me, that I found was VoxScript. So I like the idea of finding some top competitors. Please use the following articles as a reference to write a long article about buy CBD gummies. So let's see how this works out. It did the tags for me. I think it hit right at 29, so it's very similar. I like the structure of the article. It did go a little overboard on the buy, but it ended up with pretty much the same thing. Now, part of this has to do with the fact that this is a really big competitive keyword, and these articles should be much longer. And so there's just not maybe space to take care of all these different variations that it wants you to add. It's nice that this one got it right out of the gate. I didn't have to make any changes, so that was pretty useful. That might actually be a GPT-4 thing and less of a VoxScript thing. So final summary here, I would use either the this SEO plugin here, or the SEO Core AI, but also don't expect big things. Don't expect this to suddenly go, I don't know how to do SEO, to I'm killing all my competitors. This is not going to just revolutionize your SEO. There's no single tool that I have seen that really does that. There's just so much more to SEO than you can cover with one even pretty comprehensive tool. Anyway, if you're still with me, thank you very much for sticking with me this whole time. Please like and subscribe for more awesome videos like this. If you have any questions, please put them below. If you have any ideas for videos that are relevant to this, let me know. I'm happy to take a look at that. I do read all the comments, unless I guess some of them are auto-filtered. So if you're a spam bot, don't leave a comment. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.